Hello, Jamie from Inky&Scrappy, sharing with you today my Craft Roulette project number 236, Bag of Bones. Inspiration from Craft Roulette Gallery number 235. So thank you, Wanda Thompson, for your beautiful, inspiring card. I actually picked it because A, it was Halloween themed, and B, it had that flap close, like fold over thingy that I wanted to try. It's been on my mind all week. So I was like, oh, well, this is just going to work because it's what I want to do. So it worked, right? I got a new to me camera on Prime Day deals this week for filming. I don't know if I like it. Let me know in the comments below if it's as good as my other one, worse. I can't see like fine definition. Like the camera didn't zoom in or didn't focus, I felt, on my ink colors here, and so it could just be because I can't see it on the little camera screen, or because my editing software has to downsize and then it'll upsize it before it loads again. I don't know. I'll try it. I've been in the, I haven't gotten to play with it at all, and so this was my first filming with it. I really had just taken it out of the box, and I thought, well, I'll give it a try. If it doesn't work, I guess I'll just be submitting my card to Craft Roulette this week without a video. I've been doing that a little bit lately, and so I went from there. So anyways, I picked Wanda's card for that flap fold over aspect, and then I was like, okay, Halloween, but what do I want to do for Halloween? And I had already picked out. So the project was supposed to be include a small bag. And so I was planning on doing, when that one popped up, I was like, oh, I have a gift bag die. So I was like, I can do that. I can do a little mini gift bag. Halloween's coming up. I could probably make a little candy gift bag for a godchild. No big deal. And then, of course, that element came in. And that element came in has casing somebody's card from last week's gallery. And I was like, okay. So I perused the gallery looking for Halloween inspiration because I was like set on doing a Halloween card. It's Halloween season. I love Halloween. Halloween was going to happen. And so I came across a couple of Halloween cards, but Wanda's had this little overflap thing, and I've been seeing that one on my feed for, I don't know, the last couple, I would say the last week, probably because I think Unity just released a, like, all-in-one for an A2 size card. Like, it die cuts the whole thing out, and you're good to go. And I was like, I really don't need another die. I can make that. It's not that difficult, right? So it's been on my mind, so that was just like a par for the course. So then I had to reevaluate my bag situation. So I pulled out this Tim Holtz die set. I think it's a treat bag with the stencil style letters. And I wasn't planning on putting letters on it, but then as I was, gathering my supplies and thinking about bags, and I was like, oh, a bag of bones. And so there we go. So I'm making a bag of bones. Yeah. It happened, right? And then, of course, I might also have some bone sequences that, they're sitting there. I might as well use them. So I put in a piece of acetate and then, of course, sprinkled in some bones. I might try to peel it open yet and add some seed beads in there because it does not sound like a bag of bones. It should rattle, right? Bags of bones should rattle. Anyways, that's, where I'm at. I did add one little skull in there, for funsies. And then because I added that little bit of foam tape, I ended up just folding my flaps over onto the foam tape and then folding that last piece over the whole thing and then sealing that shut. So my bag, my shaker bag of bones that won't lose any bones, as they were kind of chatting in the chatter box about shakers being a bag or something like that. I didn't catch it all. I was busy doing other things, and I can only half hear. So I did come in with some tea dye ink on my blending brush there to add a little bit of depth and dimension to my bones, and then of course brought in some walnut stain for some added depth and dimension onto the sides of my bag, or to add some definition. Now I'm just going to go and tuck in some of those cutout bones. I like to cut them in half and get twice the mileage out of them. Not on all of them, but on some of them to give me some varying heights. All of the things. It's, less time die cutting, more time creating. Just saying. So I did bring in, I think it's Tim Holtz Sizzix, is it Halloween Fright or Frightful Things die set. I think it's still available. It's probably my most used Halloween die set. It's just got such a great assortment of things in it. So I'm bringing in that large Broom from Colorado Craft Company's Big and Bold stamp set, and my card base. So this one ended up being a 5x7 card because that Broom was huge and my little bag is not totally tiny, and so to get it to all fit on a card front, I felt the 5x7 was needed. So I cut a piece of regular print or regular paper down. So it's like 100-pound cardstock. Cut it down to 7 inches tall, and then I ended up cutting off so it was 9 inches wide. Probably I probably could have gone and cheated and gone with an 8.5, but I wanted only about an inch underhang and not an inch and a half. I hope that makes sense. But I also cut down some orange pieces to go as my backing, because Wanda's had orange undertone and then like a matte underneath, and then her image was on top of it. So that was kind of where I went with my orange from. Now, I forget that close to my heart paper does not absorb Distress Oxide ink very well, and that smaller piece has fingerprints like nobody's business, because that ink takes forever to dry on top of it. I forget these things until, yeah. It happens. So I'm pulling in some colors here from the Cornucopia. Of course, the brown for the Cornucopia itself. And then I went with grapes, because I'm not allergic to grapes. And pumpkins. I'm not allergic to pumpkins. And the yellow was probably going to have to be squash, because I'm allergic to corn. But, all of those things. So I went with a fairly limited color palette for my Cornucopia. Now, I was bringing in my blending foams for this one, and let me tell you, usually I have a blending foam for each color. I didn't have one started for these yet, so I'm playing with another purchase I got from Amazon's Prime Days. It's I don't know if it's like it's supposed to be like a shaker for your inks. It blended them very well, very fast. I kind of like this one better than the other little wand one that I had that broke. And so this one hopefully will last me a little bit longer. If it does, I'll, eventually link it below somewhere. We'll see. It's new to me. I did like how quick it mixed them up and, all the things. So I'm starting with that Seedless Preserves on the one end, and then I'm going to come in with that carved pumpkin for the other end. Now, I was kind of worried how these were going to mix in the middle. Spoiler alert, they mixed really well. I was kind of surprised. I was afraid I was going to get mud, and I didn't get mud. It kind of has, I don't know, it's a pretty color. It's like a deeper, almost like a deeper orangish red color instead of like a brown tone, which I really liked how it turned out. So I'm just kind of blending that a little bit in the middle. And then I thought about coming in with black soot, because I was thinking I could darken it all up with some black soot. And then I just, I started and I was like, I didn't like the look of it. So I actually came in with that brown again and did the walnuts. I think it was walnut stain. It's either walnut stain or gather twigs. I don't remember. Onto the edges here. Just kind of darken up a little bit around the edges. And then, of course, Splatter was the random this week. Well, that was like the easiest element ever because, hello, I love me some splatter. I'm taking Windsor and Newton's iridescent watercolor medium that I have already mixed with water in a little travel bottle, and then just splattering that liberally onto the background. And then since I had some left, I decided to add it to the bottom of my broom. So the broom technically is the thing that was sweeping up the bones and put them in the bag. Yeah, cool, right? Yeah. See, it all worked. And there was bones hanging from the broom. It was like perfect. And then of course I added glitter to the little test tube that is on the broom as well. Cleaned up my mess once again. And then because I'm not very patient, I did end up heat setting it or drying it with my little blow dryer thingy. And then I still ended up, I just patted it with paper towel to make sure it was all dry before I ran it into my Tim Holtz trimmer. My biggest gripe about this one is it does not have a 6.5 mark on it or a 7 mark on it. Like, they could have just extended it even in the middle part there. That would have been great. Like, give me a couple of lines. But anyways, so I brought in the other ruler to kind of measure it that way, and then I, ended up adding in my color on the end that I had cut off all of my shading on the top, and then I'm going to set that on there. I set it flush to the edge that is open, or I don't know, overhanging the underhang. I don't know. I did it so it looked seamless, or more seamless this way. I hope that makes sense. Did you get what I'm throwing out here? Yeah. I had to cover up some of those 5,000 fingerprints on the side. So I brought back in my blending brush. So now I'm just going to put in my bag of bones here. Now, if you keep in mind, if you saw Wanda's card, she kind of had a grave there. And so I was like, oh, well, the bag of bones kind of looks like the grave. So kind of, kind of goes pretty good. I sadly do not have a frog on mine. Maybe I will have to find one and put one under the broom. So when you open the broom or open the top flap, and then there's like a little cute little frog. I probably even have one colored from Lawn Fawn, like a little teeny tiny frog. That would be kind of cute. I might pop that underneath the broom yet, because that would be kind of funny. The little frog hiding under the broom. That'd be kind of cute. So I also wanted to bring in some hemp twine here, because I thought it would be fun to close it up with some hemp twine. So I'm just kind of measuring this out before I get too far. Did I measure it right? I don't know. We'll find out. The sentiment was probably the hardest part for me to decide. I needed it to be short enough that it wasn't going to cover up my whole scene that I had going on. So instead of putting it in the middle like Wanda had, I ended up moving it up towards the top so it didn't cover my broom and bag of bones up. And then trying to decide what I wanted to make my flap out of. I really liked the tag. I also really liked the fishtail banner. I wanted to bring in Lawn Fawn's fishtail banner, which would have been long enough and skinny enough to just wrap it around, and I wouldn't have had any issues. I even thought about doing a square piece. I just, can you say I was not loving my options on this one? I don't know why. I probably, made it more difficult than it needed to be totally honest. So I ended up stamping my sentiment onto my purple cardstock here and just kind of figuring it out from there. I liked the size of this one. I liked the flag on the end. Of course, it wasn't going to cut out right, so I just partially die cut it. So I really just die cut a part of it into, I just ran the die partway into the die cut machine and then backed it back out. And then, of course, just using my guillotine cutter to make some straight lines there. Was I straight? No, probably not. But that's, par for the course. I did bring in my eyelets and my eyelets that are here. I really should have brought out my old, is it Making Memories? I think it's Making Memories. Their older style one. It makes it prettier on the backside. It kind of gives it a starburst look. That is something that I don't particularly care for on the We Are Memory Keepers. Crocodile, Chompadile, Crocodile one. You know. But I was too lazy to pull it out, and I can't do it on my glass media mat, so I have to find a clean spot on my countertop, which is not currently happening. So threading my twine through this one did not go very well. It was really thick. I wanted to do it, I wanted to double it up and then just like loop it, and I could not get it to go through. So I just ended up pulling one end through and going that route. You know, such is life. This was a thicker twine too. I could have ended up going with like a finer jute twine and I would have been able to do it no problem. But, you know, I just ended up, this one was probably like a 3-ply or something, and it just was too thick to do it. So I did just end up going this route. I do end up later on kind of figuring out where I want it and kind of tying it in a knot, so I don't have to worry about this string coming undone. Did I tie the knot in the right spot? Probably not. I probably wouldn't have to go around as many times as I went around either. So if I change my mind and want to do a bow on it, I'll probably just cut off my ends eventually. So now for the inside. So don't you think a frog would look really cute down in that little corner? Just hiding under the broom, just kind of sitting there. I think he'd be cute. It would totally go with Wanda's card too. And so therefore, it might have to happen. Anyways, so I'm coming in with this one because there's the big broom on the front. I just thought it would be fun to put in here if the broom fits. You can fill in the rest of the blank there, you know. Sweep up the bones you have laying around. I don't know. Ride it. Hit some naughty children with it. I don't know if the broom fits. So I did decide that it needed a little something else. So I wanted to add some bones on to, like, around the bag of bones. Just to add a little bit of something. You know me. I like details and I like a little extra. So this way I could add them in there. This kind of, to me, it felt like you understood that the broom was there to sweep up the bones into the bag of bones. I guess. Maybe. Possibly. Okay. Can you tell I'm sleep deprived? A little bit. I hope we're halfway done. God, I hope we're halfway done with field work. It hasn't rained. It rained yesterday morning, and that was the only reason I got to get my card done this week. Otherwise, I probably should have been doing housework, but I Craft Roulette created instead. So I did cut out the little broom from that set and colored it with the markers that I colored the other one with and put it under there. That's why I said I needed a big broom. You see the size of that little broom compared to my size of the bag? That bag would not have looked little if I had used that broom. So what I'm saying. So I did bring in some glossy accents to go over the vial that is on my broom. And then, of course, I will tie this one back up, and that will complete my project. So a project with a tiny bag, Cornucopia colors, inspiration from Gallery 235. Thank you, Wanda Thompson. And, of course, Splatter. And, of course, I was going to go with Sparkly Splatter because who could not go with Sparkly Splatter? Anyways, I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day. Keep getting inky. Go check out Craft Roulette and play along too.